Hello and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. I'm your host, Craig Valine, and with me today is my friend and fellow Dan Kennedy certified independent business advisor from the Cleveland area in Ohio, Dan Cricks. Welcome.
Hey, hello everybody.
Yeah, Dan is one of my favorite guests to have because he knows his stuff and he's friendly and approachable. We were just talking about someone who reached out to him because they watched this podcast and saw his newsletter. So Dan, we come from a world of direct response, and people say, "What the heck is direct response versus what's traditional marketing?" Tell me why you wanted to talk about this topic.
Well, it's interesting. It came to me. I was in a meeting with a few folks about a mastermind group that I'm involved with, a Dan Kennedy style mastermind group, and the conversation was going back and forth. Why aren't more people doing this, and why aren't more people doing that? And it hit me, and I said, a big reason is unless they've been educated and privy to the information that we have, including you and myself, they don't get it. Okay, so we're sitting there going, why don't they get this? Why aren't they responding better? Why aren't they implementing? And it's because they don't get the value of why it works or what makes it better. And
Right.
so then it hit me, wait a minute, there's a lot of people, and I've come across this over a period of time, but it never kind of clicked for me.
Mm,
Is there's a lot of people, when you say direct response marketing, they kind of get a blank look on their face, and I've even had some of them say sometimes, what's that?
right.
And so I think we take for granted that everybody knows what direct response marketing is, but outside of our world, most don't.
Right. That's for sure. So why don't we get into what the definition of direct response is first?
Well, for me and everything I've learned, and just to be careful, Craig, I looked up what the definition of direct response marketing, make sure I was on the right page, and it almost said word for word uh, what I see it as. It's designed to get prospects or customers, and I want to make that clear. Direct response marketing works great for your customer list too. Okay, not
Right.
just prospects. To take action quickly. And when I say take action, uh, in a lot of cases, hopefully it's to buy, but not always. Sometimes people want them to do something so they can add to their list. They want to grow their prospects. They want to get them to do things on social media. So, one of the big keys to make that happen, to get them to take action, is to have a good, strong, clearly stated call to action.
Mm,
And so direct response, when it says direct response, I want you to call, I want you to go, I want you to send this email me, whatever it may be.
right.
Uh, that's the big key to direct response marketing.
Good, good, good. So if that's direct response, what's the definition of traditional marketing, do you think?
Well, for traditional marketing, the first thing I want to say is most folks who are small to medium sized businesses really can't afford traditional marketing because it's a long term strategy. Okay. That's meant to get their name out to large audiences that their idea is hopefully when it's seen enough, eventually those people seeing it will take action, will buy the product, will ask for the product, will go to the store. But again, that's a long term play, and they really don't know in a lot of cases if it's working, uh, or when it's working. Okay, for a lot of them, it takes a while to find out that this ad worked. They have some things that they do where they'll roll something out. You've seen some fast food chain restaurants do it where they roll something out for 30 days only, and then they get an idea of how it's working. But in reality, that's direct response.
Right.
Okay, we're only doing this till the end of the month.
Right.
So come in now to get it. You see?
You know, um, Funny enough, I had when I was starting out, before I was even an independent business advisor. I did little presentations at Rotary groups around town, and I did a whole thing on direct response marketing and advertising. And a guy came up at the end and said, "That was bull crap." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I've been in advertising for 30 years and you're wasting so much money doing direct response." And I said, "Really? Tell me why." He goes, "Well, you have to pay to test to see what works and what doesn't. We just put in the money and we," and then he shut up. And I said, "So you take in the money and you wait a quarter to see if it worked, right? And who are your clients? Coca-Cola, Target, people like that, the people who have millions to spare. And by the way, they run with campaigns. Some people don't know this, who are modeling the big dumb companies, or what advertising agencies do is they get a cut 15% every time they run an ad. So they're going to run as many ads as they can because they get 15% every time they run an ad, right? And
Yep.
it's a commission. And so the objectives are very different. The companies want to make money from their advertising. The difference right now is the small business owner, the entrepreneur, wants to make money right now, right? We don't want to wait, we want a response right now. We don't necessarily, depending on the lifetime value of the client and uh, client value and all that stuff. So that's a big difference. So um, I just shared the key differences and objectives. What are some examples of each in marketing in action? Can you give a good example of what? So if somebody's never seen it, what would be an example of direct response in action?
So uh, I actually printed out an ad here that I'm going to show real quick. Okay, and I'm not sure how much of it you'll be able to see, but I circled some of the highlights to make it a little easier. So that's an example of a direct response. So right away they tell them that this is a great deal, and it tells when they need to respond by. It's right
Right,
at the top. Okay, respond by February 29th. Bring this coupon. Okay, that's a key element in direct response. That's how we're able to track and learn the effectiveness of the ad. And you mentioned the big franchises and whatever. They got to wait till the end of the quarter to get their statistics to see. Okay, most small folks don't have that luxury.
right,
Okay, like you said, they have a budget that's just through the roof.
right,
And for a lot of our small businesses, they not only want responses quick, they need them.
right,
Okay, they need those sales. And so again, down here, it tells again, it repeats when to respond by. Remember, I said we have to be clear and concise.
right,
Just saying it once isn't enough. And
right,
then it tells them how to respond with the to call to schedule an appointment.
right,
Okay, and it says bring this coupon.
right,
Okay, we don't take for granted that they're going to know what we want. So that's an example of direct response, uh, an ad that you may put out to your list, or you may put on a postcard and mail out,
right,
or you may our clients use it on social media. They use it in emails to their client lists. So there's a lot of places you can. I use it every month on a landing page.
right,
Okay, and the opposite of that is, like you said, Coke and Pepsi, and Budweiser. They just keep throwing things out, and so with direct response, the thing that I like that goes back to your story of the guy who says, "Oh, we spend money." We we can direct ads to who we want, who is our best
right,
ideal client.
right,
And it can be done on radio and it can be done on TV. I'll give you an example of a big ad buy where they use direct response really well. And I don't know if you've heard it in your part of the country, but we have an ad that comes on a regular basis, and it comes out and says, "Hi, I'm Big Lou, and I'm like you. I'm on meds too." He goes through this thing, and so his offer is you can use him to buy health insurance or life insurance, not health insurance, where if you have high blood pressure, or you have this or you have that, it's hard to get somewhere else. or it's going to be very expensive. His
Right.
thing is, I'm Big Lou, I'm on meds too. That's one of his bylines. So people are going to respond because he's calling out to those people. He's not calling out to the 25-year-old who's fit and healthy and has nothing going on. And he says it right out. If you have this, and if you have high blood pressure and this and that, diabetes, so on and so forth. So he calls right out to them. Okay.
Mhm.
And then he says, if you're on meds too, give Big Lou a call.
Mm.
Okay. That's his call to action.
Right.
And so don't a lot of people want to buy from somebody they feel like gets them?
They connect one-on-one.
Exactly. They understand that, hey, this guy gets me. I don't have to explain to him why I'm on 3 different medications.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then he talks about, I'll go find you a good price on life insurance. So that's an example of it being used on radio. And a lot of people don't think about direct response in other media like radio, TV, but you can use it there effectively.
Right. And that kind of goes right into our next category, which is measurability and tracking. You know, Big Lou is talking to someone very, very specific. So talk about the precision targeting of direct response marketing versus traditional marketing.
Yeah. So the other part of that ad, and I almost wish I could have played it for you, is so call Big Lou. Okay. So when people call, they ask for Lou.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time a call comes in where they ask for Lou, there's a way for them to track.
Right.
Okay. And we do that in a lot of our ads and ads for my clients. I will ask them, who answers your phone? People are more comfortable with calling and asking for a specific person, not just calling and saying, oh, yeah, I got your thing in the mail, or I saw your thing on social media. If they can call and say, hey, can I talk to Craig?
Right.
Hi, Craig, I'm calling about this special that you have going. Oh, yeah, no problem.
Right.
Okay. And so that's part of the being able to track it and track your ROI. Okay. And so the ad that I showed you, bring in the coupon, is another way to do it. We've had some fun with it in ads before when we ran around Thanksgiving. We said to get this special promotion, call and use the word turkey. And people were calling up and doing gobble gobble and all those types of things. But every time that would happen, the person answering the phone was tracking. And then if that call turned into a customer, we're tracking. We're tracking how much they spend, how many of them who call come in, how many calls we get, all of it. With traditional advertising, you don't have any of that.
Right.
People don't walk in and say, hey, give me a new Coke. I just saw the ad. Or
Right.
give me that sandwich. They don't have the ability to do that. And so a lot of times we try to attach something to get them so that it's able to track. I'll tell you another way we do tracking for people that are online. We can get phone numbers, specific phone numbers that we put in just for a certain campaign or ad.
Right.
Okay. And so, and those phone numbers are trackable. So
Mm.
we know how many ads, how many calls are coming in from that ad. We don't have that phone number anywhere else, not on a website, not on social media, just in that campaign.
Right.
And I'll give you an example of where that worked really well. I had a client in Florida. We did a campaign and we used a phone number like that. And when we went back to the client and he went to his he had more than one location. He went to his people and said, hey, how is this working? And they said, oh, we're not very good. We haven't gotten much business off of it. Well, when we went and tracked the phone number, they had gotten in 2 weeks 75 calls to that phone number.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then when we pressed it a little more, we said, geez, our stats show that 75 calls came in off of that campaign. Oh, well, that must have been the ones that we didn't answer. So then we went on to, yes, exactly. You should have seen the owner's face. We went on to find out that the campaign was working so well they were so busy they couldn't handle it all. And
Yeah.
so the guy, the manager there said, I'm just not answering the phone.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there brought out a wart in his business that he wasn't aware of,
Yeah.
and helped him with some adjustments. But it's kind of ironic. No, it's not working that well. Yet when we started a campaign, they were so busy they couldn't answer the calls.
Yeah. That's something that that's a topic you bring up that wasn't necessarily meant for this conversation, but if you're going to do direct response, you have to expect response. And there's the human factor involved is, can I do this all myself? Or do I need automation to help me? Do I need to hire someone else to handle the calls? Or do I let it go to voicemail and return the phone calls? But you and I as marketing strategists for other companies and entrepreneurs and small businesses have to prepare them in advance of what to expect, because it can be overwhelming, right?
I've seen countless times, and as you mentioned, us being strategists, one of the things that I kind of morphed into because of how many different I now do some business coaching for that very reason of what you talked about.
Yeah.
We get some marketing going for them, get a campaign, and it overwhelms them a little bit, and then I have to talk to them about, you're going to have to do this. Some cases it's add staff, it's automate, it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. One example that was coming up when you were talking about the phone numbers is that whenever we see there are companies using direct response on TV, and generally they are for products, like there's a slicer, dicer, chopper thing like that, and it comes on, and wait, if you order by, in the next 10 minutes, you'll get this and this, and they're adding bonuses and reasons to respond right now. And it's a compelling, irresistible reason to respond. But what they do have is a phone number that is trackable, because that phone number, this ad is running around the United States, but that phone number that we're seeing is only right here in the Southern California market, right? So they can tell that particular ad is working or it's not working, versus one that's running in, let's say, Kansas. No one's responding to this ad. They don't want this product right now. Maybe we have to redo the ad, or we have to redo the offer, or whatever. But the point is, they can track that based on the phone number you're seeing is very different than the one in Kansas is seeing, or even in Northern California is seeing. So
Right, and that allows them to identify even like their best markets.
Right.
Okay. Or
Exactly.
like you said, maybe they need to change the message for a different market.
Right. Amen to that. Let's talk about some channels and mediums that you can use this. You've mentioned a few, but let's just cover it again in case someone's just getting on. What are some of the common channels used in direct response? You've mentioned email, websites, direct mail, digital ads. Talk more about how to use this in those markets. In those mediums.
Well, so one of the things that I like to do when I'm setting up a campaign for my clients is to use as many different media as possible. So we will often use email. We will often use landing pages. And because of the way things are changing, some people will respond to email, a lot won't anymore. And because of the way things change, a few years ago, Craig, I was recommending that people do not text ads to their clients or prospects, because then at that time people looked at that as an intrusion. Text was only for family and friends. That's changed now.
Right.
So included in that media, in that campaign, we'll do a text blast. We'll use a voice broadcast if it's to your list.
Right.
Works very effectively, and it'll be part of a multi-step campaign. And again, we use every media possible that we feel like we can reach people. Social media, we put it on their website. We use every media possible, because it's not like, and I'm going to give away my age a little bit here, but a few years back where there were certain times of the night, like Johnny Carson, if you wanted to run an ad, 70% of the country watched Johnny Carson almost every night. You could do that. Now with all the streaming services and the cable networks, people are all over. There, you can't find them in one place like you used to. So you have to use multimedia. And so, and like we talked, you can use it on TV, you can use it on radio. You know, a few years ago, there was a belief out there, and you'll remember this, that direct response wouldn't work on social media.
Right.
And that got blown up,
Right.
right? I don't remember the young lady who was one of the first ones to do it, along with Dan Kennedy. I don't remember her name now. You would know who she is.
Sandy Krakowski, was that her?
No.
I forget.
Anyway, you know, for a long time, oh, we can't do that on social media. Sure, you can. I have clients of mine who are Facebook gurus who use it very effectively.
Yeah. Kim Walsh Phillips.
That's it.
There you go. Yeah, she co-wrote the book with Dan.
Right.
And I think I just had that conversation with Rochelle a couple of weeks ago. She and all she did was read the No BS direct marketing for non-direct marketing businesses and apply it to social media.
Exactly right. And the other thing she did was, by doing that and making it public, she gained a fan in Dan Kennedy.
Amen to that.
Because you and I both know he was not a social media guy. He still isn't.
No.
But she showed that it works there.
Yeah.
And so that's why he co-wrote the book with her, because she proved it.
Yeah.
And she proved it because she's able to track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there are some great examples of people from the Dan Kennedy world that are using it brilliantly. I mean, Digital Marketer, all the main players from Digital Marketer, Frank Kern, you know, you name it. Any player, they've either come directly from Dan Kennedy, or they are disciples of people from Dan Kennedy that are doing it right.
Exactly right. Yeah, there are a number of them out there that took it and made it work online.
Right. So let's see. Urgency and calls to action. So creating urgency is one of the most powerful elements of direct response marketing. Give me some examples of how we might do that.
Well, so there's a number of ways to do it. We can put a deadline on it. And I have found, depending on your situation, sometimes shorter is better. We have a lot of people throw ads out there without any deadline on them. And what happens is those folks are just like the rest of us. They're busy. They get this ad. They don't see any urgency. They put it aside. And then in 3 days, it's at the bottom of the pile. Okay. But there are other ways to do it. I have run ads, and I have done it for clients, where it's a 7-day window. Okay. I have a client that out of California who called me on a coaching call and said he was going to have to discontinue working with me. And when I questioned him, I said, geez, what happened? Did I do something wrong? He goes, no, the IRS is coming in next Tuesday. And if I don't have $25,000 for them, they're going to shut me down. And I don't have $25,000.
Wow.
And I said to him, and I knew him a little bit, and I knew he had enough of an ego. I said, well, are you going to give up, or are you going to try to do this? And he goes, well, I don't know what to do. So I gave him a plan, and we used voice broadcast because we could get it out quick. Yeah. It was inexpensive. A guy who's hurting for money, you can't go, hey, for $5,000, we can run this campaign, right?
Right.
And it was personal. We sent that voice broadcast out on Tuesday morning, and by Wednesday morning, he was booked for the rest of the week. His schedule was full, and on Tuesday, when the IRS showed up, he had the $25,000.
Wow.
So, but again, if we'd have run an ad that said, hey, come in by the end of the month, he'd have been out of business by the end of the month.
Right.
So we've done that. Another way to get some urgency is limiting the quantities.
Right.
And I've done this with things when I put things out and say, hey, I can only offer, these are labor intensive. I can only offer 7 of these. So to the first 7 who call.
Right.
Or people do a product. Hey, we only have 50 of these that we can offer at this price. The supplier gave us an overrun. And so when they're gone, they're gone.
Right.
And so that a lot of times will result in a flash response.
Yeah.
Okay. And And so there are a number of different ways to do that. And some will use a couple of them together.
Yeah.
Uh, this promotion goes away on the 14th of the month, and oh, by the way, we only have 12 of these that we can offer. So if we sell out before the 12th or the 14th, it's done. So call now,
Yeah.
call to take advantage now, or go to our website now, or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah. There are so many elements to a good direct response piece, but in traditional marketing, number one, it's funny that in the advertising world, the most the award, and they have awards for best advertising, are generally for the most creative ad done, not for the sales it generated, right? And it's called what? Do you remember the name of it?
No, but I remember Bill Glazer won it one year.
It's called the Caples Award. John
Yeah.
Caples, who was a direct
Yes.
response pioneer. And
Yes.
so the person who not created, but who popularized direct response back in the day, they naming the most creative ad after him, which is a sin. That's just wrong. It's name it after what he's famous for, not just because he was in advertising.
Right.
But what they're trying to generate is a feeling. When they show the car driving through the valley around the ocean and the wife's up in space. I remember Volvo did that or something. I think it was Volvo, but they're trying to generate a feeling so that you feel something like you support for your spouse or whatever. We'll get a Volvo, safe car Volvo, all those things. And so that's what we say. Big dumb companies have money to waste. We do not have money to waste. And so last night I was watering my lawn. It's been almost 100 here past couple of days. So I was watering the lawn and listening to an old gold call with Bill and Dan on 7 important elements of a direct response advertising. And the number one thing was have a compelling, irresistible, important thing to say. Right. So one thing we haven't really covered are all the elements, but one of the most important things is a headline that grabs the attention, that speaks to the person it's meant for, right? And is compelling, is irresistible, is a reason to read the next part of that marketing piece of that ad, right? What comes
Right.
after that, and then what comes after that, and what comes after that. And maybe we'll have to do another recording, another episode on the elements of a good direct response ad. That would be a good one. But it's important that you don't, if you're going to take the time to produce something, say something interesting to the person you want to respond to that piece, right? You go to an in-person event like here the chamber it's a pretty good chamber of commerce, and there's 2 cities that have them. I want not just the average person to say, the person with no experience in business who's not doing well in sales. I personally, I'm looking for the person who's done well but is stuck now at growth. They need help through that growth plateau, right? I don't want the newcomer. I'll help the newcomer, but as a paying client, I want to help the ones who's stuck, who needs help through that growth plateau, right? So when I write a response or a flyer, or when I get up at the podium, that's a medium as well. The 30-second commercial is an advertisement, right? I want to say, I help this person, not this person, break through growth plateaus. If you're struggling, your growth is stale, stagnant, or slow growth, come see me, and if you're this or that and the other thing, please do not come and see me about that issue.
I've incorporated that very thing in some of the ads that I've written, or some of the mailings I've done. If blah 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 blah, stop reading now.
Right.
I don't want you to waste your time, and some people will appreciate that. The other thing that it does a lot of times, though, is the curiosity kills them and they keep reading.
Right.
When you tell people not to do something, then their natural reaction is to do it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be told not to.
Yeah. The importance of who it is for and who it is not for is just as important as any other element in the writing of a direct response marketing document. So
absolutely, and that's why writing the ad for specific audience or prospect or customer is so important, because then you can talk to them okay, directly. And that's what people want. People want to feel like, hey, this guy knows me. I had a client one time that I was talking with on the phone. He had just gotten started, and we weren't sure if he was going to stay on board long term. And after about 5 minutes, he goes, I feel like you've been sitting in my office for the last week. Boom. He turned into a longtime client.
Yeah.
See, and that's what people want. They want to feel like you get them, that
Yeah.
what you have is for them specifically,
Yeah.
like Big Lou does.
Right. And traditional marketing just doesn't do that. It speaks to everyone instead of a specific someone. So, so we're running out of time, Dan. Unfortunately, I think we should do another episode on the elements of a great direct response marketing piece or advertisement. Would you be interested in doing that someday?
I'm in.
Awesome.
Let's get a date. And yep.
Awesome. You got it. Dan, if somebody listening here says, hey, I like what Dan had to say, how would they reach out to you? How would they find you?
Well, so I want to mention this, Craig. I'm glad you asked this because I was thinking about it. A lot of people, I'm going to offer a 20-minute one-on-one call. And a lot of people say, well, why are you doing that? And some people won't respond. Oh, he just wants to sell me something. Well, I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it. I never used to do it. I'm getting to the point in my life, Craig, where I want to give back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll do a 20-minute one-on-one call. I'll try to give you something that you can take away. If you decide you want to take it, or you can take it and use it, great. If you feel like I appreciate that and that's all I want, that's fine. All they have to do is call my office and ask for an appointment and mention that they saw me here.
Yeah.
And that number is 440-783-1651. And if you don't want to talk to anybody, email info@greatresultsmarketing.com. info@greatresultsmarketing.com. And put in the subject line, I saw you with Craig Valine.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, listen, if you are listening for the first time or you haven't taken advantage of this, we have a free gift pack for fans of the show from Dan, myself, and past guests of this show at mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. That's mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. Grab your free gift from the past and current guests of this show. We record this every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, and then it's released to the podcast networks, your favorite platform, on Thursdays. But you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@mostincrediblemarketingshow. So Dan, thank you so much for being here. Again, I tell you every time, but you're one of my favorite guests, and because you do your research and you know your stuff, so that's a good thing. You're a fan favorite for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and I enjoy doing it. Like I said, I'm to the point in my life where I enjoy giving back.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Dan, for being here. We'll have you on in another couple of weeks again and tackle that next topic. But thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you again soon.
So long, everybody.